Everyone. Welcome to the Leader's Edge. I'm your host, Steve Steele, where we dive into insights and principles that will supercharge your leadership and ignite your personal growth. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, a leader navigating change, or even a seasoned pro, this show is for you. Each episode is packed with practical strategies designed to elevate your mindset and amplify your leadership impact. So get ready for some actionable steps that you can put into practice immediately. And a huge shout out to all of our amazing listeners. Thank you so much for your unwavering support. So let's get started and unlock your full true potential. My guest today this is her second appearance on the Leader's Edge. An author, international speaker, marketer, energy healer, and the visionary founder of Healing Millions, a global movement dedicated to empowering healers to move thriving businesses while collectively healing humanity. With a unique blend of strategic business acumen, energy healing, and mindset work, our guest helps heart-centered healers attract clients with ease, earn consistently, and grow without burnout. Through the signature method, the illuminated experience, she teaches how to create profitable, predictable, and scalable healing businesses without sacrificing time with family or peace in your life. With 18 years of experience leading marketing campaigns for Fortune 500 companies, she brings a wealth of knowledge to her work. The title of our show today is Forged in Fire, Born as a Diamond, a journey of peace, bringing hope to humanity. So everyone, welcome from the green room, Nina Maglic. Nina, you're here.
Hello. Thank you, Steve, for the beautiful introduction. Hello,
it is
everybody.
so good to see you. I've been looking for this episode for quite some time. And last week we had some amazing conversation, and I have met some amazing people through you. It's just been a wonderful, wonderful week. So thank you for that. And gosh, today we're going to talk about a little bit more. Last time you were here, we talked a little bit about your book, Healing Millions, and I want to make sure we talk about that as well a little bit. We talked a lot about that, but this time you came on, I really want to dive into your story. You have a really unique story that I don't know anyone that has had this kind of story. I've known a lot of people, and I hear a lot of people on the Leader's Edge, but this story is very unique. And I know that it has a lot to do with, when you were a child, you were actually born. Tell me, where were you born again?
I was born in Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Bosnia. And so you went through the war there in 92 through 95 as a child, right?
Yes.
That's what I want to get into. So we're going to just talk about your story, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the work that you're doing with other healers, and then maybe get into your book a little bit. But let's talk about your story, because that's fascinating to me. You sent me a document over, and it was a part of your book. It was, I think, a chapter in your book. I was just floored by it. I cried through the whole thing. And I don't mind telling people that, because it was so emotional. And tell me a little bit, let's just dive in. Tell me a little bit about your childhood when you were very young, living in Bosnia.
Yes. Thank you, Steve, for the beautiful question. I was 6 years old when the war in my country started. And I remember vividly, there were bombs. And one particular day I have on my mind is you just hear like scream. People are screaming. You hear bombing. And I couldn't move. I saw people moving, running, but I couldn't do anything. My eyes are wide open. I'm looking at the people, but I couldn't move. My mom says to me, like, run, but I couldn't run. I was frozen. And that was the day I will never forget. It took me a while to really collect myself up to that event. Of course, I was just a child. I couldn't really understand what was happening. Why is this happening? And why is this happening to us? I was just a child. I didn't do anything to anybody. And in that moment, I made a big promise that if I ever survive, I will do no matter what to bring peace and healing to humanity, that no child has to suffer as we did in the war.
Wow.
And that was a big promise for a child. I didn't know how I'm going to make it happen. But 34 years later, I'm living that promise and building this global movement to bring peace and healing to humanity. And for me, that's a really deep, personal, and as you mentioned, that's my life.
Mhm.
Because there will be no peace in the world until we heal what's unhealed inside of us. Because hurt people hurt, heal people heal.
Yeah.
And we carry a lot of generational trauma. People blame each other for what happened hundreds of years ago. And we don't even know these people who lived before us hundreds of years ago, but we still hate each other. So we have so much generational trauma, and that's why it's so important that we heal, so we can finally move on, really forgive each other, and move on with our life. And it's really hard. We cannot change the world by changing politics and law. We can change
Mhm.
the world by changing people,
Mhm.
because people choose politicians, people choose
That's
laws.
right.
But if you have a wounded person, actually, who is trying to lead the world, we will have more war. And if you have somebody who is healed, they will strive to bring peace and healing to humanity. And that's why I'm so passionate about this topic, because now more than ever, we need people like healers, coaches to help people heal. Because let's be honest, nobody taught us how to collect ourselves when the whole world collapses. Nobody taught us what should we do and how we should heal after we have really tragic moment in our life. They don't teach this in school. And what you don't know, you simply don't know. We all want to be happy. We want to be happy and enjoy our life. Nobody wants to cry and be like sad and hate life. Nobody wants that. We want to be happy as a people, but we don't know how to do it. We have a lot of wounds. We have generational wounds. We have
Mhm.
wounds from the childhood.
Mhm.
And when you're bleeding, it's just enough that somebody pokes the wound and you scream. And in
Mhm.
that moment, you hurt people around you, not by
Mhm.
intention. So it's really like you're just in so much pain that you hurt other people. And that's why I think this work is so important. So we can really finally bring peace and healing to the world by helping people heal what's unhealed inside of them.
Absolutely. And Nina, you talked about that you felt that the war in Bosnia just swallowed your family up whole, and
Yeah.
that you spent years in a dark basement.
Yeah.
I remember you told me one time when we were talking about you were trying to do some of your catch up on some homework or schoolwork. I mean, you couldn't actually go to school, I'm sure, but you had
No.
no. So you had, but you were trying to learn, and you didn't have any electricity, and so you had to use candlelight. And there's how many times you didn't tell me, but I just imagine you said you caught your hair on fire because of this
Yeah.
of oh my gosh. I mean, that's just you're talking about a child that's 6 or 7 years old that's
Yeah.
going through this process, and so and you were buried beneath the earth without
Yeah.
any sunlight. How
Yeah.
was that like for you? What was that like for you? What was that like for your family?
It was horrible. You spend time in the basement because you are living so much fear. You never know if you're going to survive the next moment. When your parents go to work because they need to work that we can survive, you never know if you're going to see your mom for the last time. And when my
Mhm.
mom kissed me before she went to work, I can only imagine how it was for her, because I'm a mother now. Like, just imagine kissing your child for the goodbye for the very last time. You don't know if you're going to see your child. That's horrible for any parent. We spent years in the basement. Like, it looks like a dungeons. I
Yeah,
would call
yeah,
it dungeons
yeah.
because we didn't have electricity, we didn't have
Running water.
water, nothing, like nothing. Even we had to be very careful with the candles. We didn't have enough candles. And if you use candles at home, you can be killed because they see the light and they're trying to
Mhm.
kill you. It's
Mm.
also like there's so much trauma. Like I would just say, like I always say, like surviving one more day felt like winning a lottery. That was it. And it was really horrible for every single person, not just my family, but every single person involved.
Mhm.
And a lot of people were in concentration camps, tortured to death. Um,
Mm.
that moment when you go to the Red Cross to see if your family was released from concentration camps, or
Mhm.
to see if they are still like alive, or if they sent you a message, that was the worst moment. Go there to the Red Cross, trying to read names on the list, and you're thinking, is my uncle alive?
Oh, wow.
It's like, and that is the moment that nobody talks about. The
Right.
war is not about soldiers fighting against each other. Like,
Yeah.
people like you and me die, even though we are not really soldiers. And a lot of children died, and that's why, as you mentioned, my childhood was stolen. Not only my child, but childhood from all children.
Right.
We didn't go to the school. We just got books, and they said to us, "Go and learn things on your
Hmm.
own."
Hmm.
And nobody was there to really help you or show you what you need to learn. And I was the first grade at that moment. I had to learn everything by myself. My mom went to work. I was alone at home. I was trying to navigate everything, and I managed. But it was really painful to go through the whole process alone. And we wanted to go to school. There were times when there was a peace for 2 days or 3 days, and then you go to school, and then on the way to school, you hear bombs, and you go back, and you try to come home alive.
Wow. That I and with the here's the crazy thing, with the condition the world is today, and the recent events has taken place, it has been just it brings that trauma up in a lot of people, especially and even times even with people who really never experienced what you experienced, but it still brings up that trauma. You said that the war taught you the ugliest sides of humanity, but it also revealed to you, and I think you mentioned it a little bit earlier, what your mission was, and that was to bring
Yes.
healing to millions of people.
Yes, because when I was growing up in the Bosnian War, I didn't really understand why I was born there. I hated my life. I didn't see any rays of sunshine. There was so much pain that is involved in that process, and also there's so much trauma that you carry, also generational. We had the 5 wars in 100 years, so we
Oh my
had a
goodness.
lot of generational trauma to heal.
Yes.
And
Nina, can you talk to us a little bit about what general what that what you said
generational trauma.
generational trauma, what that really means for for our listeners?
So the scientists also showed that, like, they did experiments on mice, and they tried, like, they tortured mother when she was pregnant, and then they found out that when babies were born,
Uh-huh.
babies had the same trauma as the mother, even 7 generations after. Like, and that's the thing we have. Even though if we don't remember everything, it's in our DNA, we still have a
Right.
trauma.
Right.
And we still have a trauma what happened to our great parents.
Yes.
And that's why some people will react unexpectedly, like,
Hmm.
they will be triggered without even knowing why they are triggered.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's the thing that is happening. And sometimes, like, it's also generational trauma when people start hate each other.
Hmm.
Your great father did something to my family, and I don't even know my great father, and you don't even know your great father, but people hate each other. And that's the same thing. People, maybe they don't even live in the same country anymore. They don't even live on the same continent, but they still hate each other because
Yeah.
something in their genetic lineage was there. And that's the thing. We all have it.
And I was going to say, and I think you're absolutely right. All of us have some type of generational trauma. I know from my family, we had alcoholism was a really huge thing in our family, especially on my dad's side of the family. There was generations of alcohol issues, and he had 10 brothers and sisters when he was growing up, and just about all of them were alcoholics. He had one brother that was actually killed in the Korean War, but my mother and father have passed since then. They've gone to be with the Lord. But the I know that my dad was the only one in the family that broke the generational curse of alcohol, and today we do not have it in our family. He broke that curse. I didn't see alcohol when I was growing up in the family. I didn't take my first alcoholic drink. I think I was 20 some years old. So it wasn't something that we saw, but he broke that generational curse. And don't you think that it takes the one, sometimes just the one, to break that generational curse? Can you talk to us a little bit about what that is?
Yes, definitely. It really takes just one person to start healing, because when you heal yourself, you also help your kids to heal. You don't pass on generational trauma on your kids. You don't pass on these patterns like and on your kids. So when you heal, you really help your kids heal and break through. That's why I'm so passionate about this topic, because it's not only about you, it's about every single person you touch.
Yes. Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
we are all interconnected, we are all energetically connected. The more we heal ourselves, the more we heal the world.
Absolutely. I believe that wholeheartedly. We are a total consciousness together. And you can call it quantum theory, you can call it the quantum field or God spirit or whatever you want to call it, where we are interconnected. That energy level is all connected with everyone. And I think you're absolutely right. And when more people become heal, they can heal others as well. And I absolutely love that. So, all right, let's go back a little bit. You were working and we're doing homework as a child, and you were trying to figure out, what was going on in your life, and so the war started to come to an end. And what happened toward the end of the war? After that, what was your life like?
Just because the war ends, it doesn't mean the trauma ends.
I love it. Yep.
You still have a lot of pain, and you like years after almost 31 after 31 years after the war, people are still broken. People still have a lot of trauma, and people still lost their legs and like parts of their bodies, and they're still like healing. Mothers lost their kids lost their parents. There's so much going on, and I think after the war you cannot get back to normal, because that's not available anymore. That's not the normal that because you just need to survive, figure out how to survive. And yeah, it's really hard. It's a lot of heartbroken people, missing body parts.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, even now, 31 years after the war, the situation is still very
I mean, I imagine some days it can be harder than others, but I imagine that those memories, those things that you have, you experienced that was what your life was like as a child.
Yes.
And you don't forget those things. I mean, I think our prime years are like from ages 1 to 7. We're kind of in the moment. We're kind of like in that time where we don't really think a whole lot about the future. But as a child, you're forced to think that way when you're in that kind of situation. What's going to be like tomorrow? Am I going to survive tomorrow? When we actually know, honestly, there is no tomorrow. But as a child, you don't really understand that, right? You don't understand that piece. You don't understand how that works. So there's so much confusion and so much uncertainty as a child trying to grow up in that situation. And so really quick, we got about a minute here. So when the war ended, you said the trauma didn't stop, right? So what was it like those first few weeks or so after the war ended, and what was your life like at that point?
You don't believe it stopped. You expect to be killed every second.
Seriously. You
cannot really believe it.
So the fear is still there.
You carry that fear. Even now, when I go back to visit my parents, if something happens, all of a sudden that trauma comes back, because, if you hear something, if there's like, anything, it can be anything, then you get triggered and say, what is happening? Let's hide ourselves somewhere.
Right. Wow. And I can't imagine that as a child, just having that feeling constantly on you. How long were you before it started to pass a little bit, or you felt normal? Was there any piece at that time you started feeling normal?
Yes, and actually you get to use the new normal, like actually
new normal, yeah.
After, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, like,
get back in the routine of going back to school.
Yeah, you go back to school. As soon as the war stopped, we went back to school and everything started functioning again. But you never feel safe.
Right.
Even now, 31 years after the war, like, you're still like, if you go to some parts of the country, you're still not like, you're safe. Like, in that sense, there's no war, but you never know when it's going to be the next one.
Wow. Well, we're going to take a quick break, Nina. When we return, it's not over. There's more things to talk about. When we return, we're going to talk a little about what happened to you later on in life. A big thing happened there. So you guys hang on with us. We'll be right back to the Leader's Edge. Are you ready to elevate your organization with a team of transformational leaders? Do you want to attract and nurture top talent while enhancing communication and productivity across generations? Hi, I'm Steve Steele, co-host of The Leader's Edge, and your coach with the Maxwell Leadership Team. My program equips leaders with essential skills and resources to lead, coach, and communicate effectively, ensuring everyone thrives. With tailored insights and proven strategies, I'm here to help your entire organization succeed. So reach out today at growthinleadership@gmail.com or visit johncmaxwellgroup.com/Steve Steele. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Leader's Edge. I'm Steve Steele, your host, with our special guest today, Nina Maglic. And before we went to break, Nina, we talked a lot about your childhood, a lot about what happened with you in the war, and all of the trauma that you went through and your family went through. And then we talked a little bit about, things got back to normal after about 2 or 3, 4, 5 years. Something like things were going back to normal. But Nina, your life didn't stop there. There's other things that took place in your life. And remember you told me about an incident, about a particular illness that really shattered your entire world. Can you tell us a little bit about your story and tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yes, thank you, Steve. Few years ago, I became extremely sick. I had painful cramps. Every time when I had a cramp, I was paralyzed for 1 hour. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I was just praying to God just for the pain to stop. And I spent 18 months going to the doctors, begging for solution. They did all blood tests, every single body scan. Nothing showed why I had the pain. And there was one moment at the hospital that told me it's going to take us years to find the root cause of your problem.
Oh,
And I said to them, I don't have one more day to live like this. I left the hospital completely defeated. I saw I lost everything. I lost my health. I barely could walk. I cannot work anymore. So what else can I lose?
mm.
I have nothing else to lose. And in that very desperate state, I reached out to an energy healer, and in just 2 sessions, I became pain-free. And
That's
that
amazing.
changed my whole life. Yeah.
That is amazing, Nina. So you go through this illness, and did they ever determine what the illness was? Did they ever?
No.
No, it just you had all of these major cramps and pain, and you didn't, and you're at your wits' end. I mean, it had to be so bad. Did it trigger things in you from your childhood as well?
Not in that sense, not when I had a pain.
Nah.
But because I started learning about energy healing, and I realized how important it is to heal your childhood wounds so you can be free from your
Mm-hmm.
past and liberated. And I love that idea. So I had a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things to heal, and I started healing after I became pain free. Because that was the part of the process of becoming energy healer. I had to look back from the moment I was born and start healing every major event that happened in my life. And I had a lot of things to heal.
Yeah. Okay, so do you think that the illness that you had came from the trauma that you had in your early childhood?
um, I would just say it was an awakening process. I would not connect it to my childhood in that sense, but something was calling me to move my whole and shift my whole career to energy healing because that was part of my soul purpose. I needed to go through work to understand human pain. I needed to learn how to heal it. So
Mhm.
now I can lead the movement. Understanding human pain, understand how people heal and why does it matter. So without that, there would be no healing millions. I think that was the part of my awakening process. And I would just say awakening process is very painful when you
Yep.
resist it. When you don't
Yes.
listen to your soul, when you really ignore your soul so much, then soul wants your attention, of course, and it will
Mhm.
find a way to communicate with you to get your attention.
Mhm.
In my case, that was illness. I was like, I didn't listen what I really wanted at that moment. I was just like, okay, I was working too much, exhausting myself too much
Yeah.
as well.
That was when you were doing all your corporate work
Yeah,
and
we worked a lot.
marketing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that. So you're in this situation. You have this tremendous pain. You didn't know where to turn. I don't. Had you went to several doctors, a lot of different
A
people to
lot of doctors, two different countries.
really.
Two different countries. The main hospital in Vienna, I spent a lot of time there. I was literally walking around with all papers from the hospital in case I get a cramp and nobody knows what is happening with me. So
Ah,
if I go to the hospital, they at least have a clue
right.
what's happening. Um, yeah, but nobody really knew.
And nothing. And so you're walking around with this pain, and nobody can figure out. You're going to two different countries, trying to figure all this out. Nobody can figure out what this. And doctor after doctor after doctor, nobody can figure this out.
No, what they did, they gave me a lot of antibiotics,
Uh-huh.
24 in 18 months. I lost every possible sense for like food and water. I didn't know when I was
Wow.
thirsty. I didn't know when I was hungry because it killed all bacteria that
Oh
could.
my goodness. My goodness.
Yeah, but it was like they were trying. I would not say that they didn't try. They were really trying to figure out what was happening. They did all blood tests, all body scans, everything. But they were really clueless. That they were sending me from one specialist to another specialist to another specialist, and I spent a lot of time going from one to another. It was like, okay, yeah.
But this is so unusual. I mean, this is just this is when they don't even have an idea. Even some of the rarest diseases we have, somebody has a clue about something, but they had no clue about this for you. So you were at your wits' end. You said you can't take another day. A doctor told you were going to have to go through years.
Yeah, she told me like we don't know what's happening. It's going to take us years. We need to figure out.
You
And
can't
I
do
said
that.
like, I don't have one more day to live like this. And in
One
that
more.
moment, I just heard and it's so like, just because they don't know what the solution is,
Yeah,
it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Maybe my solution is outside of the traditional methods.
absolutely. And I want that. I really want to point that out because that is so important. Oftentimes we think there's no solution to our traumas, to our issues we have in our life. And I want to tell everyone out there is always a solution. The universe or God, however you want to put it, there is always a solution out there. It may not be through the traditional ways of finding a solution, and obviously yours was not. And I want to talk about that because I don't know, Nina, what brought it to you. How did you think of going to an energy healer? I mean, did you even know that existed? Did you even
Yes.
know, how did that come about?
So energy healers are very common in Bosnia. And
Okay.
especially after the war, a lot of people came to bring peace to Boston. They start teaching some methods how to heal. They
Okay.
start teaching us how to do. My first course ever I did was chakra balancing. I was
Mhm.
14 years old. To be honest, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I used my grandmother as a guinea pig. She thought we are playing. And so like, grandma, let's play. I learned some
Oh,
techniques.
yeah.
She loved
Yeah.
it. She
Uh-huh.
loved it so much. We had a great time together. But I really didn't know what I was doing. I was 14 years old. It wasn't cool to do meditation, to do energy healing at that
Mhm.
time. And,
Mhm.
I was a little bit weird for other people.
Mhm.
But yeah, then I was very spiritual my whole life. I was always looking for a solution outside.
Well,
I was so impressed by indigenous people, from America. I love them so much. I lived in Southeastern Europe. People told me I'm crazy because there are no indigenous people from America in Southeastern Europe. It's like,
mhm.
I told them like, you don't get it. I love them. It doesn't matter who they are. Like,
That's
it can
right.
be indigenous people from this land, because indigenous people have a special connection to the nature,
Yes.
and they listen to nature differently. That's something that I was so obsessed about. And I said like, I loved those teachings, and that's why I was so impressed. And we had also tradition in my country to heal using herbs, traditional medicine, like what our great grandparents used to heal. that's something that I grew up doing. Like, in my country, people usually don't go to doctors. They
Mm-hmm.
try all kind of remedies,
Mm-hmm.
but they go to doctors when they have to. But it's like we always have some home remedies for every single situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up thinking maybe that's something I should try. I was open to that. I was open to anything. I was so desperate. It's
Oh,
like
I can imagine.
I just want this pain to stop. I was really, really extremely desperate. And to be honest, I was so ready to heal.
Yeah.
For healing, you need to be ready. You need to say, I'm done. And I remember one of my first sessions with my healer, she said to me, you need to let things go. And all of a sudden, I'm thinking, if I let things go, I will not be me anymore. I cannot do
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
she said, you need to let go. And I said, if this is going to heal me, I'm ready to let go of anything. I just want this pain to stop.
Yeah.
And if I could go back to time and tell my younger self, you need to let go to become, because people, me included, people spend so much time and energy trying to hold things together that do not make sense anymore.
Right.
Like, you changed, your whole life changed, the environment has changed, and you're still holding on to that belief that these are the things how they should be, and they are not anymore. So I think, yeah, I was ready to release anything that was standing in my way to healing. I was
And
like, I'm ready, I'm done.
absolutely, I think that is so important because I've actually experienced that in my own life. Even in the past year or so, I have experienced those things in my life. And there has to be, for me, honestly, a letting go was part of it, but it was more of a allowing or a surrendering
Yeah.
of it. Just allowing things to happen the way they're supposed to, not to, for me to be in control of it, not for me to uh, have my hands upon it and trying to make something happen. That non-resistance was huge for me, and just
Yeah.
allowing those things to happen. And as a child, I grew up knowing about God and knowing about, but I found out really quick the religion part of it is not really where it's at. It's in the relationship that you have with yourself and you have with the higher being, God or the universe or whoever that is to you of your own understanding. That's what it was for me, getting to know who I was in God, because the energy and the power that came there made such a difference of knowing that it wasn't just my body, but it was my heart, my mind, my consciousness that made all that different for me. And I had to go through that because you stated it yourself, Nina, that you had to go through it to become the version of who you are today.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that part of us we don't want to let go. And when I coach a person or I'm talking with, or even in some of my keynotes that I talk about, the question I always ask is, could it be that the magic you're looking for to change this situation or this problem is in the work that you're avoiding? Because, Nina, there is work involved. I mean, when you started energy healing, and I want you to touch on this a little bit too, Nina, because this is so important. A lot of our viewers, a lot of our listeners may not know what an energy healer is, but it piques their interest because they're at their wits' end. They don't know how to change this. They don't know how to change it. Can you tell us what an energy healer is and exactly maybe the process that you work through to understand how to get where you're at?
Yes. Energy healing is really tuning into your body and feeling and sensing how does your body feel and understanding the signals your body is telling you. What an energy healing does, because we are all energetic beings,
Right.
we all vibrate,
That's
we
right.
are all interconnected.
That's right.
What an energy healer does is just move the energy through your body that serves you best. Most people, like 99% of people, move energy without even knowing what they're doing. And most of the time, energy is our thought. Like, I just want to say, our thoughts and emotions are also energy. And 90% of thoughts and emotions that we have are negative thoughts and emotions, that the way how we speak to ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about the world influences how our body feels. And if you constantly think negative thoughts and emotions, and if you have that, feeling like miserable all day long, what happens is your body starts like to contract. The energy doesn't flow through your body, and then
Mm.
there's some energetic blocks that develop over time. And what an energy healer does, we develop these skills that we can really tune into your body and see where the blockages are and help you release that. That's it. I think that's the most beneficial skill you can learn, how to help yourself. Really, when you need your help, you can always help yourself, because the truth is our body is always talking to us.
Yes.
And we are not listening. And
Mhm.
body needs to scream in order for us to hear. To start paying attention. And when the body starts paying attention, like body starts screaming, we say our body's enemy. Like, body, why did you do this to me? But the body was trying to communicate with us all the time, but we ignored it all the time. We didn't really pay attention to our body. We didn't really pay attention how we feel in this moment, how we like what we think in this moment, because we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day. 90% of these thoughts are negative, the same repetitive thoughts, and we are really talking so badly about us to us, and we are our own worst enemy, if I can be honest with you, because the way how we treat ourselves is not the way how we would treat anybody. And sometimes we really need to hit the rock bottom to start paying attention how we speak to our body, how we treat our body, and to start understanding what our body is telling us. And what energy healing does is really gives you tools how you can tune into your body and see what is out of alignment inside of you, so you can help your body release it, understand what is the real issue in your body. Because sometimes when we have a trauma in our body, like of course we have emotions in that moment, we have a lot of things happening, our body keeps the score, our body remembers everything, even though if you don't remember, your body remembers. And that's why it's really very important that you understand yourself, understand your life. And one of the most important exercises that my healer taught me is to create timeline of your life.
Can you explain that?
Yes, you create the timeline of your life starting from zero, when you were in mother womb. Even though you were just in the mother womb and you were not even born, you still have a feeling that you picked up from your mother. If your mother had a lot of stress, had a lot of trauma, you have it too. And you start healing from that moment. And then you go through every single age of your life and see what was the worst moment in your life, or what was the interesting moment in your life. And it can be also the positive event in your life, because very often we make subconscious decisions when we have really great events in our life. For example, I have the best paying job ever. I cannot earn more than that, what I'm earning right now. And that really sometimes blocks people to have more and more abundance and more everything in their life, because we subconsciously make decisions about good events and bad events. And when you create a timeline of your life, you start understanding yourself much better. You go through each of these events and start healing any emotions, any thoughts, anything attached to that. The more you start releasing, the better your body feels. Your body starts feeling lighter. You have more energy, because your body spends so much energy processing thoughts and trauma from the past that it doesn't have really so much energy for everyday life. And that's why it's so important that you understand your life, go through your whole life. You will start understanding yourself better. You will start having compassion for yourself more, understanding why you made decisions you made, and it's going to help you heal a lot. And the more you heal, the more you let go, and the better you feel.
Yeah, and it doesn't take that long. It only took you, what you said, you knew a difference in the first 2 sessions?
Yeah, for me, it took you can become pain-free very fast, but to build sustainable habits, it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, because we start to heal and all emotions are coming up and we have no clue how to deal. And we have a life challenges every single day. Life doesn't stop just because we decided to heal.
Right.
There's so much going on in our life.
That's beautiful. Well, we're going to take another quick break, Nina. When we return, we're going to talk a little bit more about the inner child work, because I'm fascinated about that. I had to do it in my own life. And then we want to get into your book a little bit and share with us a little bit about your book and the work that you're doing now. So we'll be right back to The Leader's Edge. Are you ready to elevate your organization with a team of transformational leaders? Do you want to attract and nurture top talent while enhancing communication and productivity across generations? Hi, I'm Steve Steele, co-host of The Leader's Edge, and your coach with the Maxwell Leadership Team. My program equips leaders with essential skills and resources to lead, coach, and communicate effectively, ensuring everyone thrives. With tailored insights and proven strategies, I'm here to help your entire organization succeed. So reach out today at growthinleadership@gmail.com or visit johncmaxwellgroup.com/Steve Steele. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Leader's Edge. I'm your host, Steve Steele, with our special guest today, Nina Maglic. And Nina, what a fascinating story. I mean, it has just been fascinating from your childhood all the way through the war, the trauma that you suffered there, and then getting into adulthood and facing this tremendous pain that you couldn't get rid of, that you had to end up going to an energy healer to get rid of the pain. Now, Nina, as you said before, right before we took a break, and I thought it was, I think it's a very important thing to really let people know, is that even though you can get rid of the pain pretty quick, there's still a lot of healing that needs to take place. And that's really where the work begins, right? I mean, because that's what people are actually afraid of, I think. In my own personal opinion, I think people are afraid of the work because they don't know what they're going to have to go through, because they do have trauma. And everybody, I don't care who you are, has trauma in your life at some level. So what do we have to do there, Nina? What do we got to do?
So I love, Steve, how you said this. Everybody has a trauma. You can live in the most peaceful country in the world, but still go through war at your home, at work, and somewhere. So everybody has a trauma. So the most important thing is really to understand why you have it, because sometimes people show in your life for a specific reason, to show you what you need to heal, because they trigger what is unhealed inside of you. And the best way really to understand what is happening there is to really look at your childhood, because as we grew up, we picked up so many like thoughts and beliefs and emotions that from other people, how should we behave, how should we live our life, what we're supposed to do, that we forget what we really want, and what we really think and what is our opinion. And very often we carry those beliefs that have no sense to us, but we still believe this is how life is supposed to be. And that's why it's so important, especially age 0 to 7 is very important, because this is how you form. This is the age when you form your thoughts and beliefs for life, basically. And when you go back to your childhood, I highly recommend start from the moment when you were in mother womb. If you don't remember your mom or what your mom went through, it doesn't really matter. You'll start healing, start really thinking about what did your mom feel at that moment. How was her life at that moment? And start, okay, if she was stressed about if she was stressed about the whole life situation, if she had a trauma at home, you probably have the same trauma. So you go back and start looking at specific events and start from there. And the most important thing is, like, some people say, I don't remember anything. It doesn't matter if you remember, if you set the attention that you're willing to release it. And sometimes, like, if you don't remember, it doesn't matter. If you have a sensation in your body and really set clear attention that you're willing to let it go no matter what. And there are specific tools that you can use, like depending what technique you use to help you release that energy. And it really helps you. The more you do it, the more energy you will have, because your body stops and your brain stops processing the trauma 24/7, and you have more energy for new things. And that's really, really important.
Well, and you brought out a real important thing here. A lot of people say, well, I had trauma with my father, or I had trauma with my mother. And I think that's all true. But I think you brought out a point here. The mother womb is really powerful.
Yeah.
Because that you spent 9 months there, and that is because I look at my life, I look at my situations and my mom had trauma in her life as well. She had, there were some issues that she had in her life as far as a lot of trauma with her mother. when I look back at that, I see how I, my brother, and my sister were all affected by that type of trauma that took place. Now, dad, on the other hand, was the one who broke the generational curse. So we didn't have much trauma with my dad and my family, but my mother had a lot of trauma. And as a child, I suffered some of that trauma as well because of the interaction that she had with us. I had to actually do some inner child work on myself earlier this last year. And Nina, it and I've been living my whole life not really understanding how all this came together until the past year and a half started understanding. And so many people are like that. They're out there and they're wondering why my life is going like this, why I keep running into the same situations over and over and over. They have the same kind of thought patterns. They have the same kind of negative feelings, and they're not getting anywhere in their life because of it. And a lot of it, you have to face that inner child work. I had to do that, and I ended up writing a letter to my younger self, asking for forgiveness to that younger self of what took place. It was just a powerful moment for me. It really transformed who I became. Does that make sense? I mean,
Yes, definitely. You mentioned something very important. So many people will go through the same cycle again and again, repeating the same patterns again and again, and thinking, I'm just cursed. This is how my life
yes,
is going to be
yes,
for the rest of my life. But that's not true. If you keep repeating the same patterns, the life is showing you what you need to heal.
yes.
Because the moment you start healing and really releasing those patterns, they will not come back. You know, and there's so much. How did you mentioned also something here very very important, Steve, that I want to go back.
Okay.
Your dad broke the curse in his family, but your
Yes,
mom had a lot of generational trauma and she passed
yes,
it out on you.
yes.
And that's why I was talking at the beginning. We need to heal to stop this generational trauma, to stop passing that pain and wound, like those, those painful wounds in our children. And when you do your work, you will notice that your life will become better. And I always say this is the liberation. You will be able to go back to past, but you will not have any emotions attached to the past. I call
Mhm.
this liberation because that was for me liberating. I
Right,
still remember things that happened, but I don't
right,
have pain that I used to have.
right.
And that's why healing is so important because, as I mentioned at the beginning of this interview, hurt people hurt, heal people heal. And very often when you have bleeding wound, when you have painful wound, you hurt people unintentionally. I'm
Yes,
sure your mom didn't want to hurt you.
right.
She
Absolutely.
didn't even know that she hurt you,
That's
but
right.
she was hurt herself. And she was just trying to go through life, trying to really figure out how to live. And when you
Absolutely.
when you have that understanding what happened to her, and like she didn't really mean to be like to hurt you, you start having compassion for people around you.
hmm
And this is where healing begins. You really understand that we're just trying to go through life the best we can, and that's it.
Absolutely. Nina, so let's say a person has a lot of trauma in their life and they're struggling and they're having these patterns over and over and over again, and they just are struggling and they don't want to have this pain, emotional pain or physical pain or whatever. And you know as well as I do, and you said it yourself, that oftentimes when we carry that emotional pain or that trauma, it affects our body, right?
Mm,
Because we have to understand we are not our body.
yeah,
And our body is our temple. Our body is our uh, vehicle. It is not who we are. Who we are is our consciousness. It's the inner spirit within us, the energy. That's who we are. I don't know how to explain it any different than that, but that is exactly who we are. Our personality all formed around that. But a person is going through this. Where do they start, Nina? They're just so overwhelmed. I mean, they're living in this primal state of mind and they want to live in a powerful state of mind. But where do they start? How do
that's
they
a
get
really
self
good
aware?
question. I will tell you how I started. I started really looking for podcasts, TV shows like that are talking about this specific topic, so I can really start understanding what do I actually need.
Mm-hmm.
How should I even start? And then I started reading self-help books and invested in myself in different courses. And it took me a lot of time to understand what I actually need. And if person who is listening to this and has a lot of questions, where should I even start? I highly recommend. Um, I would love to say to come to the summit, because at the summit you have 35 speakers doing 35 healing sessions for free. So you can pick and choose what you need the most. Um, this is the new era of Global Healing Summit. It's 100% free for everybody. And what I did actually, I invite all my teachers, mentors, colleagues, people I work with, all my fellow colleagues, to really come together to help heal humanity. And this is a really good chance for people to pick and choose and test things before they even invest it, and to see if this is going to work for me. I need to be sure that this is the right method for me, because what works for you might not work for me.
That's right. That's right.
And that's why I want to offer people variety of tools and sessions, so they can pick and choose what works for them. And
well, and you're going to pay now, or you're going to pay later, because your body's going to pay. If you don't get your mind where it needs to be, and you don't get your essence, your consciousness, your subconscious, whatever you want to call it, if you don't get that where you want it to be, your body's going to pay the price for it. You're going to pay a price for it. You're going to go into the hospital. You're going to see a doctor. You're going to have bills. So my encouragement to people is often invest in yourself now.
Yeah.
Be intentional about it, because intentionality is a powerful word. Be intentional about it. Invest in it now so that you can begin to work those tools and begin to heal your own body in a lot of ways, So that's so powerful. And I want to hear a little bit about your work that you're doing with your book. I want to hear a little bit about what's going on there, the work that you're actually doing. I got to actually experience some really cool things this week with people and so tell us a little about what's going on.
So I'm building this global movement called Healing Millions. We are on the mission to heal the world. I'm doing this with my fellow colleagues and healers. We have beautiful summit coming up in actually next week. We are opening the doors to new era of Global Healing Summit. My intention with that summit, when I got this download in October to organize a summit, I really didn't understand how powerful it's going to be. But right now we have almost 950 people registered for the summit.
That's amazing.
And we still have 1 week before, actually 1.5 weeks before the summit. So we still have a lot of time to get people in. And that's why I'm so passionate about this. I have 35 speakers, world-class speakers, healers, who are doing great work for humanity. And each of them are going to give sessions, workshops, talks, really to inspire people, to move them, touch them, to create better lives. And can you imagine, Steve, what we're going to do if we have 1,000 people in our community experience energy healing 3 days, completely free of charge?
Oh, wow.
How big ripple effect is going to be in the world.
And you can pick the person. You can look. I think you have an agenda where everybody you give it, and you can actually pick the particular person that may appeal to you, or to what you feel you might need, and you can listen to them, or you can go to another one. You can pick and choose, right?
Yes, we have a live sessions. We also have recorded sessions. You can also watch recordings 2 days after the summit, until then we will close it. So you have a lot of opportunities. There are going to be, we also have a community. That's why I'm so passionate. I didn't want to have a summit just on Zoom and that's it, we forget about you.
Right.
I want to have a community, because after the summit, people will have questions. People will ask about specific method. And I didn't want to let them hanging somewhere in the air, trying to figure out the way I did, when I was starting out. I wanted to help people get solutions to the problem they're looking for, and get answers from healers, teachers, guides, to help them really go through everything. And that's why I'm so passionate about this work, because if we can change, at least improve a little bit lives of these 1,000 people that are going to join for our summit. And if these 1,000 people change lives of at least 10 different people, we already changed 10,000 people.
Absolutely. Oh, that's amazing. That just jazzes me. I absolutely love that. And Nina, talk to us to somebody. You said teachers, healers. what does it look like? What does a session look like? Is it like a counseling session or a coaching session, or what does that look like?
So we have different things. We
Okay.
have interviews, we have talks, we have real healing sessions,
Ah.
really energy healing sessions with healers. We also have a tapping sessions. We
Mm-hmm.
also have a special, like a Reiki sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Also different healing modalities. We have really variety of people inside our community. We also have scientists coming to this
I
summit.
love
I
it. I
have a
love it.
person who has a PhD in quantum physics.
Ah, right up my. I
It's
love
like,
that.
and she is one of the leading women for electricity in Switzerland, but she's also an energy healer. She's an
Wow.
amazing woman. We also have a nurse who is also medical intuitive, and
Uh-huh.
Dr. Dolores is medical intuitive. She has been nurse for 40 years. We have professors, we have teachers who are working at university and doing great work there, but now they are also energy healers and doing great work for humanity. So we have variety of people.
Real quick,
You can pick and choose.
When is the dates for the summit?
Oh yeah, we will open the community next week on March 12th.
Mm-hmm.
The summit is March 17th to March 19th.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely free of charge. You can come and join us and be part of this global movement to heal millions.
Oh, that's beautiful. Is there any way we can put a show note and like in the bottom of it put a like a where they can go to get online?
Yes, it's
A
on the
link?
school. You can find us on School Global Healing Summit.
Perfect. School Global Healing Summit. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Wow. Nina, this was powerful. I just absolutely love this. It means so much to me because I've experienced so many things in my life that have led me to who I am today. And the healing that I've even done recently in my life, and I don't think we'll ever stop healing. I
No.
think that we continuously heal, but it does get easier because as things challenge you as you come up in your life, your healing does get easier. I think it has for me at least. I recognize it. I become more self-aware quicker. And when you're more self-aware of something going on, then you want to make that change much faster. And you have the tools. If you've been working the process and been doing the work, you have the tools that will take you where you need to go pretty darn quick. And it's not with you as much. And you're able to get out of that real primal state and really out of that, get into that powerful state of mind, which really begins your healing. Nina, thank you so much for being here today. I had such a great time.
Thank you, Steve,
Thank
so
you.
much for having me on your show, and happy birthday. Thank
Oh,
you
thank you.
so much for having me on the
Oh,
show
yes.
and allowing me to celebrate your birthday with you.
Well,
Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody who was here today. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Well, thank you so much, Nina. And just as a reminder, you can find The Leader's Edge on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, or whatever you listen to your favorite podcast. If you find value in these conversations, hit that subscribe button or follow to stay connected. I wanted to say to all of you, all of our listeners and friends, because without you, The Leader's Edge wouldn't be possible. We're grateful for you. And so I'm so excited to connect with you next time. So everyone have a great day, and I'll talk to you next on The Leader's Edge next week. So bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.